I see Mary, who is spinning very quickly under the pergola, where the grapes are growing bigger and bigger. Some time must have elapsed, because the apples are beginning to redden on the trees and the bees are humming near the fig flowers already mature. Elizabeth is now quite stout, and she is walking heavily. Mary looks at her carefully and lovingly. Also, Mary's sides appear more round when she gets up to pick up the spindle which has fallen far away from her. The expression on her face has changed. It is more mature. Before, she was a girl. Now, she is a woman. The women go into the house because it is now getting dark and the lamps are lit in the room. While waiting for supper, Mary begins to weave. "Does it never tire you?" asks Elizabeth, pointing to the loom. "No, you can be sure of that." Elizabeth says, "I'm exhausted by this heat. I've not suffered any longer, but now the weight is too heavy for my old kidneys." "Take courage, you will soon be free. How happy you will be then. I'm longing to be a mother. My child, my Jesus, what will he be like?" "As beautiful as you are, Mary." "Oh no, more beautiful. He is God. I'm his maid. What I meant is, will he be fair or dark? Will his eyes be like a clear sky or like the eyes of a mountain deer? I imagine him more beautiful than a cherub with golden curly hair. His eyes the same colour as the Sea of Galilee when the stars begin to peep on the horizon. His tiny little mouth as red as a pomegranate that bursts when it matures in the sun. And his cheeks as pink as this pale rose, with two little hands that could be contained in the hollow of a lily. They are so small and tiny. And two tiny feet that I can hold in the hollow of my hand, so soft and smooth, even more so than the petal of a flower. See, the idea I form of him is taken from all the beautiful things that nature suggests to me. And I can hear his voice when he cries, because my child will cry a little when he's hungry or sleepy, and it will always be a great pain for his mummy, whose heart will be pierced every time she hears him cry. When he cries, his voice will be like the bleating that now comes from a little lamb, only a few hours old, when it seeks his mother's breast and her warm maternal fleece to sleep. When he laughs, and my heart in love with my creature will then be full of heaven, for I can be in love with him because he is my God, and it will not be against my consecrated virginity to love him as a lover. His voice when he laughs will be like the merry cooing of a happy little dove, which is full and content in its cosy little nest. And I think of him when he's taking his first steps, a little bird hopping on a flowery meadow. The meadow will be his mother's heart. It will be laid under his tiny pink feet with all her love, so that he may not tread on anything that may hurt him. Oh, how I will love my child, my son. Also Joseph will love him. But you will have to tell Joseph. Mary's face darkens and she sighs. Yes, I will have to tell him. I wish heaven would tell him, because it is so difficult to tell. Shall I tell him? Says St. Elizabeth. We will ask him to come for John's circumcision. Mary replies, No. I have entrusted God with the task of informing him of his happy destiny of putative father of the Son of God, and he will do so. The Spirit said to me that evening, Be silent, and trust me with the task of justifying you. And he will do so. God never lies. It is a great trial, but with the help of the Eternal Father, it will be overcome. No one must learn from my mouth what the benignity of the Lord has done. Certainly, you are the exception, because the Spirit revealed it to you." Elizabeth replies, "I've not mentioned it to anybody, not even to Zacharias, who would have been very happy. He thinks you are a mother according to nature. I know, and I decided that out of prudence. The secrets of God are holy. The angel of the Lord did not reveal my divine maternity to Zacharias. He could have done so, if God had wanted, because God knew that the time for the incarnation of his word in me was already imminent. But God hid this joyful light from Zacharias, who rejected your late maternity as something impossible. I have complied with the will of God, as you have seen. You perceived the secret living in me. He did not perceive anything. Until the screen of his incredulity does not fall before the power of God, he will be separated from supernatural lights." Elizabeth sighs and becomes silent. Zacharias comes in. He offers some parchment rolls to Mary. It is the hour of prayer before supper. Mary prays in a loud voice in place of Zacharias. Then they settle down at the table. "When you are no longer with us, how we shall regret having no longer anyone to pray for us," says Elizabeth, looking at her dumb husband. "You will pray then, Zacharias," says Mary. He shakes his head and writes, "I will never be able to pray again for other people. I became unworthy when I doubted my God." "Zacharias, you will pray. God forgives." The old man wipes a tear and sighs. After supper, Mary goes back to the loom. "That's enough," says Elizabeth. "You'll become too tired." "Your time is approaching, Elizabeth. I want to prepare for your child clothes worthy of him, who will precede the king of the house of David." Zacharias writes, "Of whom will he be born, and where?" Mary replies, "Where the prophet said, and of whom the eternal Father will choose. Whatever our Most High Lord does is well done." Zacharias writes, "Well, in Bethlehem then, in Judah. We shall go and worship him, woman. And you will come to Bethlehem too, with Joseph." And Mary, bowing her head over the loom, says, "I will come." The vision ends thus. Just before I go on to recite what Mary says as her comments after this vision, just worth noting that the statement that the birth of the Messiah will be in Bethlehem, that Zacharias says, and that Mary herself implies when she says it's what the prophets have said, all that is said before the decree is received from Augustus Caesar that Joseph and the Israelites and eventually all people all over the Roman world, probably in stages, are to go to their town of birth and be registered there. And I have no doubt that the census took place, no matter what secular historians say. It may have been a rolling census, as I suggested just now, but the fact that there are no records that have been found from the time of Augustus which refer to this is not something one should worry about. It's not as if there's been a perfect preservation of Roman records. Rome has been sacked more than once in late antiquity, and so we can say that things have gone missing, and one of those things which has gone missing is the record of the census.